All right. Good Monday morning, everybody. We are coming to you on Monday. Last week we came to you on Wednesday. I had a little bit of an issue last week Monday, but we're here today with you back to our normally scheduled programming Monday morning, 9 a.m. So I hope everybody's doing a great job today. And I hope everybody is enjoying the weather, to be quite honest. This is fall weather. Sweater weather is my favorite kind of weather. It's not super cold, but it's not super warm. It's just got that really nice temperature about it, and one of my favorites. So I hope everybody's doing a great day today. As I said, having a great day. Today is Monday, October 28th. I can't believe it. October is pretty much almost over. We have Halloween in a couple days, and I hope all the kids out there have a great Halloween costume. Now, the mug of the day today, I love this mug. It's one of my favorite mugs. It's a newer mug, so you haven't seen it before, but it's little guy. This guy, you know who this guy is. He's cute. He's adorable. He just is one of my favorites. It says protect, attack, take naps. There you go. Those are 3 words to live by. Attack, protect, attack, and take naps. As you know, and a lot of people love Halloween costumes, and so one of my favorite Halloween costumes was this little guy. It was uh, actually it was a little baby in a stroller, and I think it was like a couple of years ago. The parents made him out to be little Yoda. That's what I call him, little Yoda, and made his stroller out to be his uh, little spaceship, whatever you want to say that he's in. You can tell that I'm old because I'm not hip with the times, but he's on the Mandalorian. I like to call him, like I said, little Yoda. But I gotta say that was like one of the cutest costumes ever. Like there's so much out there nowadays that people can really truly appreciate with regards to Halloween, and and nowadays, like back in the day, um when my kids were little, we didn't have obviously the internet like I'm coming to you today, or a lot of other things. So we had to use our own um brain power, I guess, for lack of a better word, and inspiration from television, stuff to that effect, to make up Halloween costumes. That was fun. That was fun. However, you got little Yoda, Grogu, and then just incredible stuff on Pinterest and on the internet to help assist in Halloween costumes, which I love. Halloween, I love seeing everybody in costume, being so friendly and enjoying hopefully good weather. Now, I always say that my childhood, believe it or not, back in the day, nowadays, because I get older every day, we used to always have costumes that were like extra large, because we would have to wear a winter coat under our costumes all the time, all the time. It was understood that we would have snow on Halloween. We always had snow on Halloween. And so we just had extra large costumes. So nowadays it's understood that there won't be snow on Halloween. And when there is snow on Halloween, folks get a little bit nervous or taken off, or their costumes don't fit because they didn't get them big for Halloween. So certainly things have changed in the climate from when I was growing up in Halloween days and nowadays, but it is so fun to see the kids. And I even enjoy seeing the teenagers coming out and doing something fun. I always give the teenagers a little extra, just because you're just a kid once, and they're trying to hold on to that childhood as well. So Grogu is the mug of the day for those listening on Spotify to the podcast. Favorite little guy. And again, words to live by: Grogu: protect, attack, and take naps. There you go. What else is today? Today's Monday, as I said, October 28th, and it is National First Responders Day. So thank you to all the police, firefighters, emergency medical workers, and other first responders who run towards danger to help protect others. I did do a ride-along with the Aurora Fire Department years ago, years and years and years ago. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I was an alderman, and it does take you back. We did have a fire, believe it or not. And I was riding along with the ambulance crew, so I thought not that big a deal. And so we get to the fire, and the ambulance crew suits up and runs right into the burning house. I was like, whoa, like it takes you back, because your first instinct is not to run towards a burning house or any other dangerous situations, but they, without hesitation, suited up, got in there, extinguished the fire. Nobody was hurt. And unfortunately, the house was badly burned, which leads me to talk about really quickly. Now that we are getting into colder weather, the house fire that I witnessed was started by a candle that fell onto a bed. So please be very careful if you're lighting candles. This is like kind of the candle weather, the candle season. Make sure candles are away from drapes, bedding, papers. I have papers on my desk. I don't have a candle right now because I have a little too many papers on my desk. Make sure that everything is cleared away from the candle. Don't leave the candle unattended. Seriously, it can be very dangerous. So, but thank you to all those first responders, police, firefighters, emergency medical workers. A big shout out to my now son-in-law, who is a firefighter and is deployed overseas right now with the Army National Guard. So we're going to recognize him today too. So thank you for that as well. Let's see. I got my laptop going on right here, and we have a couple people on our Zoom. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much for participating. Roger is joining us today. Hello, Roger. Haven't seen him in a while. I was at the Toys for Tots A-Bait motorcycle kickoff looking for Roger. He didn't show up today, but good to see you on the Zoom, Roger, tuning in. Wonderful. So what else is Monday? Monday is National Immigrants Day. So I know in this current climate, there's been a lot of talk about immigrants. And it is a situation that we need to look at those that come into the country and needs to go through the proper process. Now, we had talked about the asylum seekers. They're coming through the proper process. They came into Illinois, into Chicago. We have since seen really zero new arrivals, but National Immigrants Day. Those of us, our country, our culture, they're built on people of all different backgrounds. So, and most likely they were immigrants that came into our country. Now, my background is Polish immigrants. My grandfather came over when he was 17 from Poland to Chicago, and of course married my grandmother, and she was also Polish, and they would speak Polish in the household. I don't know what they were saying, but we, as children, pretty much figured they were talking about us, and so they could talk about us in Polish, and we would not know what they were saying. Or they were talking about other things they didn't want us to know about when we were there visiting and sleeping over and enjoying the family nature of my grandparents. We did a lot of traditional Polish food in the household of my grandparents, not so much in my parents, but in my grandparents, and always went to church, and those traditions. And those traditions and those cultures and that diversity is what makes the fabric of our nation strong. We are a nation of immigrants, and it is a fact. We should fix our immigration system, because I know individuals that are decent people, They came here when they were very, very young. They were undocumented, and trying to maneuver the immigration system is very, very difficult, to be quite honest. And they want to, and they really, truly, with their heart of hearts, feel like they are Americans because they grew up here. They love hot dogs, and found out when they were teenagers trying to get a driver's license that they weren't documented, and that's no fault of their own. So, but today, Monday, October 28th, is National Immigrants Day. So instead of being negative, we should be positive about all the things that our country was built on from our immigrant heritage. So celebrate respectfully and responsibly today, Monday, National Immigration Day. Immigrants Day, National Immigrants Day. Now, Tuesday is an important day, is the 29th, and it is World Stroke Day. And so more than 700,000 Americans suffer a stroke. And I can say, again, a story about my grandmother. I didn't know this at the time. I think I was like 12 or 13. And I hung out at my grandmother's house, 56 in Pulaski, for those in Chicago. That was where their two flat was. And of course, they were on the first floor and rented out the second floor. But I was talking to my grandmother. I was there for the weekend. And all of a sudden, like, the right side of her mouth started drooping. And I told her, I said, Grandma, that doesn't look right. You know, your lips drooping a little bit when she was talking. And so she went to the doctor and had it checked out, and it turned out that she had a clogged artery in her neck. And so the symptoms and the signs of stroke are so very important to identify. And so strokes, they can occur in individuals of all ages, fitness levels, backgrounds. You need to learn more about strokes, how to prevent them. Visit cdc.gov/stroke. There's acronyms for them. There's signs that you can think of. But and then preventative medicine. Make sure you get a checkup. Make sure you get the cholesterol checked. Make sure you get heart tests, all that stuff. Make sure you have preventative checkups as well. So my grandmother, as soon as I pointed out to her, she didn't really quite realize it was happening. But as soon as she looked in the mirror and she's like, "Oh, that's not good." As soon as she did, she went right to the doctor. They found it out. She had the procedure, and everything was well. And she lived, you know, to a very old age, very healthily, I guess, for lack of a better word. So preventative, but make sure on Tuesday, World Stroke Day, go to the websites and understand the symptoms of a stroke. Early detection, like with my grandmother, can be lifesavers, bottom line. So with that, Thursday is the big day. Happy Halloween. 10/31 Thursday. It is the spookiest day of the year. Whether you're doing a party, trick-or-treating, enjoying scary movie marathon or non-scary, funny Halloween movie marathon, remember to celebrate safely and responsibly. And again, when kids are outside during the day, or as it starts to get dark, 'cause it's going to get dark a little bit sooner, make sure you're wearing reflective tape, reflective stuff on your costume. Always be safe. Have flashlights if you need them, and certainly, and most importantly, check the hours, the trick-or-treating hours in your community. I have Oswego, Naperville, Aurora, and Montgomery. Most of them are about the same, 3 to 7, 4 to 8, around that time frame. Certainly when people get home from work and kids get home from school, the kids are going to start and come out, and then cuts off most of the time around 7 or 8. So certainly be kind. If you don't want trick-or-treaters, turn your lights off. That's, you know, the standard thing. It's been that way for decades. And certainly, if you want to, let me know how your holiday decorations are looking, because I have seen some amazing Halloween decorations out there, and just love to see the pictures on Instagram and Facebook of you all sharing. Now, Thursday, starting off on Halloween, 10/31 through November 1st is Diwali. I have gone to Diwali celebrations. It is the light over darkness celebration. It is the day travelers enjoying the lights, food, and family and friends and acts of kindness. So to those who celebrate, happy early Diwali. Worldwide, this is celebrated by Hindus, Sikhs, and Jains, amongst of all other faithful individuals throughout the world. So happy Diwali. I have attended very large Diwali festivals here in the area, and it is just about friendship and kindness and enjoyment and celebratory. So it's a very nice festival, very great. So what did we do on Friday? We got an update, a briefing. So if it doesn't totally affect our area, but it is an interesting model that we're looking at. So I mentioned that we had asylum seekers coming into Chicago all last year. They're coming in on buses, and we haven't had any in quite a while. So we set up a lot of shelters for the asylum seekers. And now the city of Chicago is transitioning these shelters into helping the homeless, which is great. So it's helping unhoused Chicagoans, and they are creating one system to address unhoused individuals, whether they're asylum seekers or chronic homeless individuals. So it really is innovative. Looking forward to seeing the results of this new process. And I think it would be really great. On Saturday, if you were able to go, the Oswego Police and Fire Department had an open house. And then on Saturday, Georgetown Elementary, and on Sunday, Hometown, they both had trunk or treats. So individuals with little kids that sometimes don't want to go door to door, which is perfectly fine, trick or treating, they have trunk or treat events. And then I'm not going to talk about the Bears game because what do they call it? A last minute Hail Mary play, and the Bears lost. That's all I'm gonna say. And then a Sunday I had a memorial for our aunt Elaine Zelke, passed away in Sugar Grove. It really was shocking. It was a hit and run, believe it or not. She was out walking her dogs, and she was hit by a car. So distracted driving kills individuals. We are suspecting it was a distracted driver who hit her and then fled the scene. But we memorialized her on Sunday. So it was a wonderful, wonderful event. But want to take this opportunity again to talk about distracted driving, impaired driving, drunk driving, driving while the influence of anything from cannabis to whatever else, and texting and driving too fast for this was in a neighborhood for neighborhood conditions. All of that can contribute to someone losing a loved one. Happened to our family. And certainly it was a beautiful memorial of somebody who should still be with us today if somebody was being responsible behind the wheel of a car. So very disappointing. And then this week, I'm actually traveling down to Springfield to talk to Retired State Employees Association meeting, talking about the state of Illinois and everything that's going on. And then the month of November is Veterans Day, but it is also the Marine Corps birthday, and I have on the docket a couple Marine Corps balls I'm going to. Those of us in the Marine Corps are very proud of our Marine Corps birthday, and there are many ways to celebrate it responsibly. Again, please celebrate it responsibly. And here in Naperville, the Marine Corps Ball is on November 2nd. So certainly we all look forward to the Marine Corps birthday in November, and Veterans Day, of course, but Marine Corps birthday nonetheless. Speaking of the Marine Corps, hello, my office will be collecting for Toys for Tots. Toys for Tots is very important. It is to sit there and make sure that every child has a Christmas. Accepting donations through December 3rd. Stop by the office and drop off in unwanted toys, unwrapped toys for children and teens, and they're asking for no stuffed animals and for the toy to be new. So please to be new. Bonnie is on the Zoom. Good morning, Bonnie. Thanks for coming. Aurora is 4 to 7, and thank you for your condolences. Yeah, it's just quite the situation. Distracted driving kills people. Gonna say that again. There's gonna be a lot of kids out on this a lot of kids out trick-or-treating, and so please be aware. Oh, and then I do have a little bit of a note here I talked about earlier, local trick-or-treating hours. So thank you, Bonnie. Aurora's 4 to 7. I have 4 to 7:30, so 4 to 7, 7:30. Naperville didn't have any set hours that I saw. Oswego is 3:30 to 8, and Montgomery is 4 to 7:30. So certainly, please trick or treat responsibly. So I gotta say. So what's coming across my my docket, my desk? So there was a poll. Now I'm just going to preface this. I'm not a lawyer. I went to Northern Illinois University, and I have my master's in public administration. And I did a lot of classes with regards to statistics. My undergraduate is a Bachelor of Science, not a Bachelor of Arts. So I did a lot of statistics, a lot of modeling. And I do have some back now. Of course, I went to college 20-some, almost 30 years ago. So it's a little bit rusty, but still, it's one of my things. Numbers is a lot of fun. So we got this poll. So overall, it says public supports merging Chicago area transit agencies by a 2-to-1 ratio. The poll shows that's the headline. Of course, we're gonna have that kind of headline. Chicago has 4 transit agencies. So it has the Chicago Transit Agency, the Metra, which we use, the trains, Pace Bus, which we've seen, and the Regional Transit Authority. And so there is a proposal to put these under one entity, Metropolitan Mobility Authority Act. Sounds really cool. People in Springfield, they have spent a lot of time thinking of these great names. So they surveyed 600 likely voters, revealed a 2-to-1 ratio in favor of the merger, notably high in Chicago, 54%, suburban Cook County, 53%, and support increases to 72% when respondents are informed that consolidation could potentially save up to $250 million by reducing administrative costs. Although RTA, the Regional Transit Authority, disputes this figure. So first of all, they're polling with information that may or may not be factual. RTA disputes the $250 million by reducing administrative costs, and honestly, I don't really see that much of administrative overhead with some of these groups. They talk about reduced redundancies and improve regional transit planning. I agree. We need to reduce redundancies and improve regional transit planning. I agree with that. But the agencies do face a potential budget shortfall by 2026 when the COVID-19 aid expires. So here's a couple of things that my master's in public administration way back, even though I got it 30 years ago, feel about this poll. First of all, I was not given, and what I have been able to look for, I was not given what is called the crosstabs. So this is, okay, 600 likely voters. That's the N size for those out there. And then they're reporting 54% Chicago and 53% in suburban Cook County. Now, our area uses Metra and Pace, and falls under the Regional Transit Authority. Now, we don't use the CTA, which is the Chicago Transit Authority. And I don't see any information here with regards to western suburbs, northern suburbs, suburbs outside of Cook County. So this poll was only done in Chicago and Cook County. Number one red flag for me with regards to polls. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is every time you see a poll, you always have to, for better or for worse, take it with a grain of salt. Now, how big a grain of salt it is depends on how much data is released with the poll, in my humble opinion. So to say 72% when respondents were informed that consideration could potentially save them up to $250 million, and that's disputed, to me, is a red flag as well. So several red flags in this. We don't know 600 likely voters. We don't know to what degree these voters are dispersed. In this poll, you can say 54% like it in Chicago and 53% Cook County. How many of these respondents were in Chicago? So let's just say, you pulled 10 people, 10, 12 people in Cook County, and then the rest, were in Chicago. And then you're like, oh, look, 53% of them. Well, yeah, you needed like six, 6 people, less, 5 people, 5 people, 50% is 6, So where were these voters? Where's the distribution of this? The crosstabs. What's the demographics of these voters? What were the questions that were asked? So one of the big questions, again, along with the agencies that are expressing concerns, because to me, consolidation is good, but sometimes you can consolidate something so big it's unmanageable, right? So do I think they need to coordinate together? Yes. Do I think they need to look at the different scheduling? Yes. Do I think that there is a model, I believe, in Germany, and I was in Japan, and the public transportation is seamless. They match up with the buses. The trains match up with the buses. Do I think all that needs to go together? Yes. 2 things. I don't agree with withholding funding to force something to happen that so right now they're saying there's a budget issue and they're not being budgeted properly. Ridership is still down from COVID. In fact, I had a tour of the Sears Tower like a year ago, and occupancy is down in Chicago. Occupancy down, transportation is down, ridership is down. Got it. I mean, trust me though, driving into Chicago, you wouldn't doubt that, because it takes me sometimes 2 hours to drive into Chicago. But that's, nonetheless, we do need to robust and bring up these systems so they can work together better. And then maybe it won't take 2 hours to get into Chicago. We can get these into the right model. Got that. But to sit there and say, oh, your budget is still short because of COVID, ridership is down, we're not going to give you any additional funding so you can function properly until you do this consolidation that may or may not work and hasn't really been that vetted, in my humble opinion. So 2 Chicago representatives, one senator, one representative, they want to merge this. And they are criticizing the different operating systems of acting independently, which there is some merit to that, but they do need to work together. One of the issues, again, they say respondents are informed that consolidation could potentially save up to $250 million. They're informed that. Are respondents informed that the proposals that we are seeing drastically reduce the input from the suburbs and increase the input of Chicago? So here's the issues. So the governance structure, how these all work together would be consolidated, and it would be very heavy in the land of pretty much Chicago. Chicago would get the bulk of the seats on this board, and then the burbs will get the scraps. here's a seat or two. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm not in for it. And so I understand that there are 4 boards and staffed by only 47 members, appointed by 21 elected officials. So you have 21 individuals that are appointed, 47 members total. They claim that that hinders efficiency and collaboration as well. And the state of Illinois funding model provides only 17% of their budget. So there's a lot to be unpacked on this. And I really don't believe, and I'm not swayed by this poll because of all the red flags that I see in that. But it makes good headlines. So again, always beware of good headlines and of course of these polls. So that's certainly something that I keep a good look at. Now, we signed a law last year, went into effect, and that students could request a plant-based lunch, and they should have options with regards to individual dietary needs. Now, my son packed a lunch pretty much every single day until he graduated high school because he just didn't. He was a picky eater, and he liked his peanut butter sandwich, and he liked his chips, and he liked his lunch. It was really it didn't change. Every day it was the same lunch. My daughter, on the other hand, ate cheese pizza every single day because there was no other alternatives, and she didn't like any of the alternatives, so she ate cheese pizza. So we passed a law that says you got to give people a little bit more variety in their school lunches. So over 1,000 students across the 278 Illinois public school districts have requested plant-based lunch options. Since this is something we had to pass in the law, it was something that the schools were not doing on their own. Sometimes we do have to pass a law to get schools to do this. So it requires school to provide meals to students who request them. So this was advocated in the article I read. They interviewed Chef Rodolfo Cuadras. He's a parent and an advocate. Positive health and cultural impact of plant-based meals, especially for individuals that have different religion, different beliefs, different practices, minority communities as well, is really important. So More Plants on Plate Illinois campaign is what it's called. So he was interviewed. His daughters receive plant-based lunches twice a week, and he hopes to familiarize students with the diverse vegetables and healthier eating habits. So Chase Elementary in Chicago's Logan Square neighborhood actually leads the state in plant-based meal participation. The Representative Will Gazzardi represents that area. These options, again, are both healthy and in some cases environmentally sustainable. They can opt in at any time for plant-based lunches at no extra cost and choose the frequency of these meals throughout the week. So they meet federal nutrition standards. They include dishes like lentil sloppy joes and roasted vegetable sandwiches. So plant-based diet obviously has good long-term health effects. They can be lower in sodium, lower in cholesterol. If children start eating more plant-based foods early on, they will have a foundation for a healthier lifestyle, hopefully, as adults. And the plant-based diets include foods like legumes, nuts, seeds, and mushrooms. So certainly that if you are not aware of the of your child's school to promote plant-based food, then certainly check into it, because now it's a law. So certainly, in my opinion, really good law. So as coming from a parent of children who had very, very restricted dietary requests and likes, so it was very interesting for that regards. So what we are looking at is, and this is something that we will be taking note of for next year. Next year in the General Assembly in the House, we always do a Memorial Day ceremony, a remembrance, and we will make sure that we honor United States Army Corporal Eriverto Ortiz. So if you hadn't known about this, he served with distinction as a member of Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 27th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division during the Korean War. Corporal Ortiz was killed in action at the age of 27 in September of 1950. His body could not be recovered due to the intense fighting in Busan, South Korea, and it was declared non-recoverable by the U.S. Army in 1956. However, as I hold very dear to my heart, we shall never forget our prisoners of war are missing in action. So the U.S. Department of Defense Prisoner of War Missing in Action Accounting Agency, by using dental, anthropological, and mitochondrial DNA analysis, Corporal Ortiz was identified, and his remains will be returned to his family on today, October 28th, and will be buried with full military funeral honors in Elgin, Illinois. These families are still around today, and it means so much to them. And you want to sit and say, this individual passed away in 1950, and it is what it is wrong. We shall never, ever, ever forget our prisoners of war and our missing in action. And we are so blessed in Illinois to bring home Corporal Eriverto Ortiz, and he is coming home to his family today. His niece, Gloria Valle, has talked about this homecoming bringing closure to a long-held family hope. She never met her uncle. However, she has kept his memory alive in her home, displaying his photo and treasuring family stories. She sees her uncle's return as an answer to her late mother's prayers, who, along with other family members, died believing Ortiz would never be found. So Valle recently received her uncle's medals and feels this moment honors her family's decades of faith in his eventual return. So in looking at Ortiz and the situations that surround him, so his remains began, the journey to identify his remains began after unidentified soldiers were recovered near where he was lost, and they were interned in Hawaii's National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. So in 2018, the Korean War Intergerman Project used dental, anthropological, and mitochondrial DNA analysis to identify these remains, and Ortiz was officially accounted for on October 10th, 2023. So they had to confirm. So after confirmation from the Army, Valle was designated by her family to represent them, received the official notification last month. She called it a miracle and reaffirms her family's belief that the Army never gave up on him, and we should never give up on our POW MIAs, regardless of how long ago it was. Certainly, this is a really heartwarming homecoming for Army Corporal Ortiz. Welcome home. Other than that, moving right along. Oh, we already talked about Halloween. I'll go back to Halloween. Sorry, my notes are not quite in that much order. I should have talked about Halloween when I talked about Halloween times and the Halloween subject, but my apologies for that. I just came across the Illinois Department of Public Health. So the Illinois Department of Public Health, of course, wants you to be safe and take precautions to avoid any holiday issues. Of course, trick-or-treaters who are feeling sick or ill should get tested and stay home, unfortunately, because we don't want to spread anything that's out there, COVID-19 or the flu. Normally, those hit around fall and the winter seasons. Make sure that you get vaccinated. If you're giving out treats, wash your hands frequently, of course. And then looking at unsafe costumes. So, unsafe costumes, make sure you can see, make sure costumes are flame resistant on the label. If you do it yourself, a DIY costume, use flame resistant fabrics, bright reflective strips, tape, costumes. Wear makeup and hats rather than masks so you can see better. Test the makeup you plan to use at least 24 hours because there can be some allergic reactions. And then also the FDA has a list of color additives to see if they're FDA approved. This is a new one for me. I didn't even think about the FDA approving color additives for the face paint or the makeup that they use. So it's especially important around your eyes. So be careful. Try not to use decorative colored contact lenses. I know they're really cool. They change how your eyes look. However, you could get an infection. You could get an eye injury. Believe it or not, years ago, my daughter took out her contact in such a way that she actually ripped her cornea, and the recovery from that was just incredible, and it was very painful. So I would say try not to wear the decorative colored contact lenses. I know they're super cool. Inspect all your candy. Eat a snack before you go out so that you don't like nibble on your treats before you get home. Make sure you check for allergies. And don't really eat anything. I know online folks like to make things, but nowadays really it's much easier to just buy something that's commercially wrapped, labeled so that there's no issues there. Again, gum, peanuts, hard candies, small toys are not good for little kids. And then, if something looks old, if there's tears in the wrappers, if it's not fully sealed, just throw it out. Really, it's not worth it. Halloween holiday hazards. In the past 3 years, the U.S. Consumer Protection and Safety Commission averages 3,200 Halloween-related injuries are treated in the U.S. hospital emergency departments. Not huge, but still, you don't want it to be on your watch. So 55% of these were related to pumpkin carving. That's understandable. 25% were due to falls while putting up or taking down decorations. And 20% of injuries include lacerations, indigestion, other injuries associated with costumes, pumpkins, and decorating, and allergic reaction and rashes. So just be careful. Certainly when you're carving your pumpkins, if you haven't already carved your pumpkins, leave pumpkin carving to the adults. Child helpers can grab a spoon or scoop out the inside. Use markers to trace designs. Use battery-operated lights or glow sticks rather than open flame candles. Keep candles, again, away from curtains, decorations, and never leave burning candles unattended. I already talked about that. So that's our Halloween. I should have talked about it earlier. My apologies. My notes are a little out of order, subject matter-wise. Governor Pritzker was up in Rockford last week. You might have read about it. Governor Pritzker in comment announces $50 million federal grant. Now, again, this is Illinois working with the federal government, a functional federal government, let's just say. Functional federal government under this administration. We got $50 million federal grant for Rockford grid modernization. The total cost of this project is $116 million by 2029. So, Grid Resilience and Innovation Partnership, GRIP program investment, the largest in Illinois history, and it supports the Department of Energy's ongoing clean energy initiative across the nation. Now, in order to have clean energy, in order to have all these energy outlets for cars to plug into, we need to have a stable and solid electrical grid. So that takes investment as well. So the $50 million in federal funds will be matched by ComEd, along with other investments from Community Partner Region 1 Planning Council. So by 2029, the funds will enhance ComEd's clean energy investments expand access to carbon energy resources, improve grid resilience against extreme weather, and offer clean energy job training for members of the Rockford community and the surrounding area. So always investing and improving our area. Now, emerging affordable housing developers can look to the Illinois Housing Department Authority and the Local Initiative Support Corporation for affordable housing developers. They can apply for what it's called is the latest round of Next Gen Capacity Building Initiative, designed to expand the talent pipeline and increase diversity within the housing development field. So for more information on that, look at the Illinois Housing Development Authority website. They have some online webinars, Tuesday, November 12th and Tuesday, November 19th. So look online. You can also find information on ilsc.org. Department of Aging offers free help to make Medicare open enrollment decisions. So every year we have Medicaid, Medicare open enrollment period. It began actually October 15th. It runs through December 7th. You can get free help comparing health and drug plan options by contacting the state's senior health insurance program counselor. They are available in person and online throughout the year, but they are especially helpful during open enrollment. So please do your homework and find the plan that works for you. Relief is available. Moving on, Governor Pritzker announced that relief is available to July storm victims in Illinois. Multiple tax deadlines that we postponed that to February 3rd, 2025. So the Department of Revenue announced disaster tax credit relief for individuals and businesses in part of Illinois affected by severe storms, tornadoes, straight-line winds, and flooding. This all happened around July 13th, 2024. Affected taxpayers now will have until February 3rd, 2025 to file the various state, individual, and business tax returns and makes tax payments if you had this situation. It falls under Cook, Fulton, Henry, St. Clair, Washington, Will, and Winnebago counties. So please check with your accountant for any of these if you are eligible, or does this fall under you? So tax relief, these postponements are for various income tax filings and payment deadlines that occurred beginning on February 13th, 2024. The ending is, of course, the postponement period, February 3rd, 2025. You can email questions to rev.disasterrelief@illinois.gov. Provide your name, business name, account number, and the periods in which they filed late, and somebody should get back to you on that. Furthermore, Oswego Business of the Month. So this was very cute. Keith's Car Care was recognized as the Economic Development Commission Business of the Month for October. Congratulations to Keith Car Care. Since 1985, they are known as Fixing Everything Automotive, general maintenance to 24-hour towing to U-Haul rentals. So it is owned by a guy named Keith, believe it or not, Keith's Car Care. Keith and Diana Wolf. They have lived in Oswego for a long time. They have 5 children here, and they give back to various community programs like Oswego Area Chamber of Commerce, Kennett County Food Pantry, and Coats for Kendall Annual Coat Drive. Nearly 40 years of dedication to the community, part of our Shop Local, Shop Small during this season. Support the small businesses in the community. I know that going to the bigger box stores is convenient, but these small community mom and pop shops, they give back so much to the community, and certainly they should see the return appreciation by going and supporting their businesses. So just a quick roundup is community colleges see the largest enrollment jump in 15 years. So that's a 7.4% rise over year to year. So that's a really great thing. And I went to some community college classes. A lot of people go to community college classes. And then finally, wrapping up the day, 2 DNA stories hit the news. So advanced DNA testing, North Aurora police have closed the 1979 murder case of Kathy Holly, identifying Bruce Lindahl as her killer. Despite bringing some closure, there's no justice served since Lindahl died in 1981 while committing another murder, to be quite honest. She was last seen leaving her apartment on March 29, 1979, found deceased a month later in the Fox River. So the village president, Mark Gaffino, who was the same age as Haley, recalled the incident was unsettling for the North Aurora community. DNA evidence, again, it linked the murder, and Lindahl was also linked to the murder of 15-year-old Pamela Maurer in 2019, identified via public genealogy database after DNA from her clothing matched Lindahl's relatives. Certainly DNA testing is just incredible. Had Lindahl been alive, charges would have been authorized and brought more justice to their family. But again, there's comfort in just knowing the end result and who the individual was. It's still traumatic and horrible. And then finally, the final story was a skull was found in a house in 1978. More than 40 years, they know who she was. So in Batavia, authorities recently identified a skull that was found in this house in Batavia Wall, that of 17-year-old Esther Granger, thanks again to DNA testing. So Granger actually died in 1866, shortly after giving birth, and was originally buried in Maryville, Indiana. Now, Kane County Coroner Rob Russell believes her skull ended up in Batavia due to grave robbing, which was a common crime at that time, since medical students paid a lot of money for bodies to study anatomy. So they described a student in nearby St. Charles who was killed in 1849 by rioters after stealing a woman's body. So they assume it might be hers. And why the skull was in a wall, I don't think we'd ever know. But it was discovered during a 1978 renovation when workers knocked down a wall in the house, which was built in 1850. And they determined that the skull belonged to a woman and was several decades old. The Batavia Historical Society acquired the skull, and in 2021, staff at the Batavia Museum rediscovered it in a box while going through the museum's collection for an audit. They notified the police, who then involved the coroner's office. DNA testing and in Texas in 2023 confirmed the skull's identity by matching its genetic profile to Granger's great-great-grandson, Wayne Savar. Initially suspicious, Savar, who actually, believe it or not, was a former cold case investigator, became convinced after seeing the investigators' commitment to this resolve. So he shared that his family rarely discussed his ancestors, only mentioning that Granger's life was difficult. Her husband and child later moved to Nebraska. The coroner collaborated with experts to create a 3D likeness of Granger, allowing her family to see her probable appearance. So funds were raised to cover the DNA testing, and they tried unsuccessfully to locate Granger's original grave. In August, her skull's ashes were laid to rest in Batavia's West Side Cemetery with Savar present. Despite the time elapse, Coroner Russell felt it was vital to honor Granger's identity, saying he values closure for the deceased, regardless of how old the case may be. So that's wrapping up our last Monday Facebook Live and podcast for October. We will be back in November, and I can't believe how fast time goes by. November 4th will be, and then after that is Veterans Day. We won't have a Facebook Live on Veterans Day. Honor all our veterans every day, and not just today. Not just on Veterans Day, but honor them every day. So with that, I hope everybody has a very safe Halloween. Hope all the kids enjoy their time out. I hope the weather lasts and is good for you guys. And we will see you in November. Be safe. Again, no distracted driving, please. No impaired driving. just leave it with that, is that it really does. It really can happen to you if you're distracted driving, if you're driving under the influence, if you're driving too fast for conditions. Um, really, let's be safe out there. Just like Blues oh my gosh, I just blanked on that and I just had that. My dad watched it all the time. But anyway, everybody be safe out there. Take care.